Good morning. Thank you for joining us today for the 30th meeting of the Lake County Board of Commissioners. Would all those who are willing and able please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority. And may we use in our directives for the common good and for thy honor and glory. Amen. Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino.
Here.
Commissioner Young.
Here.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Here. Okay, and this brings us to our first public comment portion of our meeting. Do we have anyone? Jason, nothing online. Mr. Lima. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. I decided to come in person rather than to have Jason read my comments. But I appreciate your doing that in the past. Thank you. My comments.
Excuse me, but I can't understand, Dave. Is his mic turned on or?
Who, mine?
Is that
It's
on?
The green is on.
Oh, I'm sorry. He had actually turned his back for a moment to acknowledge Jason, I believe.
Okay, can you hear me now, Commissioner Young?
Yes, I can. Very good. Thank you.
Sure. My comments today are in response to the resolution passed by this commission August 6, 2020, under new business, memorializing the motto, "With God all things are possible." Procedural concerns arise for me when a resolution that has not been listed in the agenda is presented at the end of the meeting under new business. Introducing resolutions in this manner limits, if not excludes entirely, the public's ability to comment on the proposed resolution before a vote is cast. Commissioner Young's comment illustrates the underlying outcome of limiting public comment, and I quote, "I'm so glad that we're together on this and ready to push it to this point." Pushing it through without public comment is an affront to democracy and participatory government. Therefore, I propose that this commission adopt a procedural rule prohibiting the introduction of resolutions that have not been previously listed in the agenda. I can't say it any better than Joe Blundo from the Columbus Dispatch, who wrote about this in 1998. He asserts that because the motto is described by proponents as simply an ambiguous little phrase, or can mean whatever anyone wants it to mean, that the point of displaying it must simply be to show that it can be done, to get attention, show ownership, or for expressing power. The motto certainly doesn't make government more efficient, make better choices, and be more ethical, as so sadly illustrated by the corruption recently revealed in our state government. And the motto definitely is not inclusive of all citizens' beliefs. No matter what the argument for displaying the motto is, you can't take the religious meaning out of it. The motto has religious origins and meaning and violates the First Amendment no matter what twisting of the facts the court agreed to do. I'll finish with Commissioner Young's comment made before the vote, which I believe validates my assertion that the motto has religious meaning, and I quote, "It's really gratifying, not just for me as an individual, but for me as a Christian as well." Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to respond to some of that if I could, Mr. President.
Please do, sir.
First of all, the motto is simply, with God, all things are possible. That lends hope to people of any creed, almost any belief system. And it lifts the spirits of probably 80-90% of Americans. Number two, it's been tested in courts and found to be constitutional. Number three, in reference to the corruption in Columbus, you certainly can't blame that on the fact that there isn't enough, that there's too much hope being offered in Columbus right now with mottos such as this, with the prayers that are offered, etc. I hope Dave isn't suggesting that we drop every effort to lift the morals and ethics of our public servants. I think all those are good things to do. Now, does that mean that every public servant is then going to be a perfect model of perfect ethics and totally above corruption? Of course not. There will always be some that fall by the wayside. But nonetheless, I think society needs to do everything it can to reinforce the moral integrity of our public servants and of our society in general. Number four, and finally, for me as a Christian, that does have special meaning. All things are possible with God. That's my individual feeling about that motto. But that doesn't change the fact that the courts have approved it, that it brings hope to millions of people, and that on the whole, I believe it's good for society. There's many things as a Christian that I might like to see implemented, that I would never stand up and do so in public. This is not one of them. This happens to be one where my stand as a Christian coincides with my beliefs of what a good public servant should do and stand for. So that's the reason I supported the resolution.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Okay, any other public comments? Thank you. Moving on to resolutions. Madam Clerk.
In the Utilities Department, resolution adjusting appropriations in the Lake County Department of Utilities Water and Sewer Operating Funds, equipment accounts 5000811-812 and 510000811-812.
Move to adopt.
I'll second that. Oop. Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution awarding a bid contract in the amount of $235,970 to Woodford Excavating for Lake County Solid Waste Facility South Access Road Project 421L.
Move to adopt.
Second.
And discussion. Gary, did you want to comment on that one?
Sure. This is at the solid waste landfill. This is one of many forthcoming projects at the landfill where we'll be investing our capital projects regarding the expansion of the landfill. So we're building a new access road as part of this project. We received about 8 bids, and the price was about 10% lower than we anticipated.
Good.
Excellent. Further discussion?
No.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In Job and Family Services Department, resolution approving Lake County Department of Job and Family Services vouchers, date of warrant August 21st, 2020, in the amount of $447,312.10.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Commissioner's Office, resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with ImageSoft Incorporated for a software program for 4 judges in the Lake County Court of Common Pleas and 1 judge in the Domestic Relations Court.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. Jason, did you want to comment on that?
You couldn't sit any further back, could you?
That's unsocial distancing,
That's right.
Jason. Jeez.
Thank you, Commissioners. Yeah, this is a contract put forth by Judge Lucci in the Common Pleas Courts. The project will be funded with by Maureen Kelly, Clerk of Courts, and basically it's a program that will allow the staff of the Common Pleas and Domestic Relations Courts to effectively work within the clerk's e-filing system to make a more efficient operation over at our courthouse. It's been through prosecutor's review, auditor certificates in place, and we're ready to move.
Very good. Thank you. I assume Data Board, everybody is all happy with it.
Yes, it's made it through everything. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Okay. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Sereno.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $1,811,519.02.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $403,147.75.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations of various non-general fund accounts.
Move to adopt.
Adopt.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution transferring appropriations within various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. All right, this brings us to our departmental reports portion of our meeting. Utilities.
No report today, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. And let's see, County Administrator Jason, who is still sitting in the back of the room. Oh, the Mike Nader style. Nice.
Yeah, Commissioners, thank you. Just another brief update on the loan grant program. A committee met this previous Monday, approved a couple more grants and a loan. Up to date, we've issued through your program 48 grants, $227,000 to the small business community, and 7 loans with $170,000 distributed throughout the community. And we have continued to have weekly meetings, and things seem to be moving really well on the program. The loans are starting to pick up now that the word's starting to spread a little bit more.
So right now, Jason, I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Please go right ahead, sir.
Right now, in the loan side, the amount that we set aside for the loans, how much is currently unencumbered?
We set aside the total loan package, if I recall
600,
correctly, was $700,000. $100,000 and change was for social services. We've opened up the guideline. We've opened up the flexibility of the 2 silos that we can ebb and flow with demand.
Okay.
So if the loan programs took off next week, we have the resources to make that happen.
Basically have close to over $500,000 available yet between loans and grants?
We have.
Or is it more than
We're
that?
at $400,000 already distributed via grants and loans, so we have about $300,000 liquidity left to issue to
Okay,
the
just
small business
waiting
community.
for,
Yep, and we have things in the queue every week, so it's moving. And we extended Betsy Figge's underwriting assistance with us another 3 months, and that seems to be working really well. I want to thank the committee, which is Tim Cahill Amy Sabbath and Bob Dawson for helping and taking time every Monday to hear and vet and go through the process.
We could probably use a little boost here on the media side of things. This is a lot of money still available for businesses that are suffering.
Yeah.
Businesses, contrary to what some people seem to think, and I've talked with some of them, that businesses, if they've survived this long, they're not necessarily going to survive, for the foreseeable future. So there are still businesses that are hurting right now, and the Paycheck Protection Plan is going to come to an end, and there's going to be reconciliation for paying back some of the loan if they don't qualify. So there's going to be businesses that are going to be still in need for a while. So we'd really like to get the word out that these funds are available.
Yeah, and it's the breadth of the business community from local barbers to a florist to a manufacturing outfit in Painesville to a hotel. So it's the full gamut. So for the business community, small or large, if you need a hand, give our Planning and Community Development Department a call, and we'll be happy to help.
Have we reached out again to the 3 chambers?
Yes, chambers. Lake County Development Council's been helping us out as well. So we're continuing. We've sent some stuff to city halls and to the economic development professionals in those communities that have them.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk.
Yes, I wanted to mention that the next commissioners meeting is going to be held on Thursday, August 20th at 10 a.m. And also I wanted to mention that there are 2 positions on the Senior Levy Advisory panel that expire September 30th. And if anyone's interested, please contact me. Thank you.
Very good. And legal.
No reports, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Okay, this brings us to our old business portion of our meeting. Do we have any old business to come before the board? Moving on to new business. New business? I think it would be fair, though, to acknowledge our health district and all the hard work they're doing. And I can say that I've been involved in meetings and discussions with the superintendents for both, bless you, by the way, with both Lake and Geauga counties. I can say the discussions have been, as an observer, incredibly candid and productive. The discussions regarding, like, for example, Lake County, the east side versus the west side. West side obviously having more in common with Cuyahoga County, east side having more in common with Ashtabula County, but reaching a consensus, adjusting and adapting. It's impressive to observe. It's great to be a participant, but I have to give high praise to our health district and our school superintendents. They're really pulling together, working together, and a lot of the lessons that were learned with our mayors and city managers, our health district is directly taking that to work with our superintendents. And I also have to say that our businesses and our manufacturing, as well as Joe and Jane Citizen on the street, they've been taking things very seriously. So good stuff. Commissioner Serino.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. I just wanted to make a couple comments about House Bill 6, which is back in the news, as we all know. And I had a chance to meet with virtually all of the elected officials in the 3 political subdivisions in Perry last week, and have been in ongoing discussions with many of them and many residents of the community for the last couple of weeks since this whole Columbus fiasco has occurred. And the commissioners are going to be taking a very proactive approach toward not allowing or not recommending against a strict repeal of House Bill 6 without some kind of a replacement. We're going to be detailing that out in the next week. We have to take a very sobering look at the policy behind House Bill 6. House Bill 6 was a bill that came about after several years of looking for various solutions to maintaining the 2 nuclear plants in Ohio from really 2 perspectives. One perspective was the energy policy side of things, nuclear being 100% clean energy that was experiencing a price differentiation with the cheaper natural gas solution today for the time being, and the need for nuclear energy to be maintained, as several other states have done through their own legislation, but also looking at the other side of the coin, which was the economic impact that a closure would have on our community. And I'll just run through a couple of those things, Mr. President, if I may.
Please, sir.
We have the employment levels, which means there are 700 direct employees who work at the Perry plant. I'm just going to talk about Perry for now, not Davis-Besse. But 700 direct employees and probably another 1,200 employees whose jobs, they're not working for the plant itself, but they are doing work at the plant, whether it's the trade unions, whether it's other services that are provided to the plant, that its closure would severely impact, if not completely put out of business. So the employment issue is huge for Lake County. And these employees don't all live in Perry. They live in other places around the county and even in Ashtabula County, in Geauga County. We also have the issue of the taxes that are paid, in various types of taxes by the nuclear plant that will impact, the lack of which will impact significantly our school systems and other levies, including the senior levy in Lake County. So we thought it was good policy back then. The commissioners, certainly I was very, very involved in this at the time. You know, we did not write the legislation. In fact, I couldn't even keep up with the day-to-day, minute-by-minute amendments that were being offered. But that was the job of the legislature. But we believed it was good policy to address those two issues that I raised, the energy policy as well as the economic issues. And now that the process has been tainted by the accusations and allegations made against former Speaker Householder and some others, certainly that process is tainted, but it doesn't render automatically the policy that was inherent in House Bill 6 to be irrelevant. The policy was a good policy a year ago, signed by the governor, voted on by the majority of the legislature to pass it. And the policy is, we believe, good for the economy and good for certainly energy policy here. So we are convinced that a straight-up repeal of House Bill 6 with the promise to make some adjustments or pass another bill that would amend it later on would be a faint commitment. It'll never happen. Once this bill is repealed, our plant will be on a track to close down in a matter of a few years. And there's no coming back once you decide to do that. So that's why we're taking the position very strongly, and we'll be directing information to the new Speaker, Cupp, and to the President of the Senate currently, Larry Obhoff, that, you know, certainly there are some things that can be improved or modified, some significant in a revised bill. But we do not believe that a straight-up repeal should be done without a replacement bill simultaneously. And many legislators I've talked with agree with that approach. So we're going to be taking a strong position. We don't have any legal remedy at our disposal as commissioners, but it's our job as elected officials to stand up for our community and stand up for our economy. And we certainly want to continue to do that in this case. We simply cannot sit back and let this happen and watch our economy in just a matter of a couple of years' time disintegrate. We're still dealing with the ravages of COVID-19 and the economic impact, and 15% unemployment is recently posted in Lake County, which is above the state and above the country's level. Imagine what it would be if we lose all those other jobs. And I would mention one final thing, Mr. President, if I may. Some people have said, well, you know, this is a bailout, and we can't do this for every company. You know, what happened when companies leave other parts of the state? And my answer to that is very simply this. When a company leaves, like Lordstown, for example, when General Motors left Lordstown, there is an opportunity for that plant to be repurposed, which is actually already happening for part of the plant capacity. When a nuclear facility is closed, there is no repurposing possible. We're not going to put a hotel on the grounds. We're not going to put a playground there. We're not going to have any other means of arriving at tax replacement that would suddenly be absent from the community. So it's very different from a regular company, a non-nuclear company, shutting down and taking jobs away. This will be a long-standing issue for our community, and I urge all of our citizens in our community to stand behind us as we try to defend the economy of Lake County, and we will be doing everything in our power to make sure that that happens. We, of course, had nothing to do with this craziness going on in Columbus and the allegations. Some people have tried to tag me along with that activity going on down there, and I can tell you, I never even met Speaker Householder, never talked with him, never emailed him. We don't know each other. Whatever was going on down there, if the allegations proved true, then I would abhor those as much as anybody else. In fact, I called for Speaker Householder to resign the day after this occurred. But we're not going to allow our community to get thrown under the bus in the process. And we are going to stand firm and united in not letting that happen. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Young, did you want to add to that, sir? Young?
Did we lose him?
No, I'm here. I'm sorry. I had it on mute. I didn't want to interrupt. There really isn't much I could add to that. What Commissioner Serino just said encapsulates, I think, the whole ball of wax. The bill was tainted, but to simply throw it away without any replacement already on the books would be catastrophic for Lake County. People make a lot of promises when they want to get something done, i.e. repeal. Replacement's another matter. That's down the road somewhere with almost no promises made, no clear-cut, ironclad promises made. So my time in the legislature tells me that if we want to protect Lake County, just as Commissioner Serino was saying, soon to be Senator Serino, now is the time. Now is the time. We have to stand up together and fight for a clear-cut, reasonable protection, replacement of the bill for Lake County. Thank you.
Thank you both. And I would add to what you so ably stated, both of you. We did have a couple of bad actors, handful, and I would encourage, though, that we do look at the big picture. It pretty much got overlooked, the air quality issues. Lake County is part of the Northeast Area-Wide Coordinating Agency, NOACA. Their primary mission is air quality in regards to transportation. Lake County and Geauga County, believe it or not, were reportedly, per EPA, pulling down the air quality standards, not only for Lake and Geauga, but for Cuyahoga, Lorraine, and Medina counties. Now, that's not to say that we were the source of the emissions, but where it was settling out was here. So when they put this region into their formula, Lake County was being penalized. With the fossil plant in East Lake going offline and the fossil plant right here in Paynesville being used only for peak purposes, air quality has gone up. But if we were to lose the Perinuclear power plant, it is the single largest source of clean energy in the state of Ohio. I dare say we are looking at what I've been simply calling is, please do not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yes, there were bad actors. Yes, there were things that were done that were inappropriate. And some of the follow-up stuff that has happened afterwards is absolutely scandalous. But please do not throw the baby out with the bathwater. So with that, do we have any other new business?
Nope.
Moving on to our second public comment portion, do we have anyone who wishes to address the board in the second? Yes, sir, Mr. Lima.
I hadn't planned to speak about House Bill 6, but I just have a few comments. Of course, none of us know exactly how this is going to be resolved. It would seem likely to me that there will be a replacement bill of some sort. And there are two items in that replacement bill that I hope are taken under consideration. And one is the reinstatement of the renewable standards for the state of Ohio. They were 12.5%, I think, to be accomplished by 2027, and that was reduced to 8 something or other for 2026. Hopefully, those standards will be reinstated or increased so that we become much more of a consuming state with regard to renewable energy. And the other item is the funding that the coal power plants are receiving. Hopefully, that will be taken under consideration as well. Anyway, those are just 2 simple comments about someone who doesn't know a lot about House Bill 6 or doesn't know a lot about energy and all of its implications. But I do appreciate the very clean air that we've all experienced in the past few months. My 2 children who suffer from mild cases of asthma also appreciate it. So hopefully something will come down the line.
Ms. Lima, if you'd just hang on for a second, Mr. President.
Please, sir.
I appreciate your comments. 2 things. One is we have actually had, in the last couple of years, the cleanest air in Lake County that we have had in a very, very long time. And we don't want to reverse that in any way, shape, or form, certainly. And I will tell you that as I'm not ready to make any of them public yet, but we're looking at and thinking about what modifications to House Bill 6 would be made in a new bill or a revised bill, whatever it ends up being called. And I think it would be safe to say that in order to pass something this time around, without shenanigans going on, that would require more of a bipartisan, in the House particularly, in Columbus, that accommodations are going to have to be made. Those may be 2 areas that accommodations are seen. Again, our goal has always been, and I want to make this very clear for the record, I have never gotten involved in this issue from day one on behalf of First Energy. I have always been focused on doing what is best for our community and not watching a plant close down and unemployment ensue. So there are things that are going to have to change in terms of probably the economic formula that is used for the clean energy credits. That will likely cost them something. Don't know what those numbers are going to look like, but it will be a different bill. But at the end of the day, the bill that's passed has to be able to keep Davis-Besse and Perry operating for the foreseeable future. The circumstances surrounding how that happens remains to be worked out yet, but I suspect that both of those areas you mentioned will be up for serious discussion.
And if I could just echo on the renewable side, much to my disgust as a board member for LEEDCO, the Lake Erie Energy Development Corporation, when the Ohio Power Siting Board recently approved construction of the wind turbine project off Cleveland, they put a poison pill in there that said, oh, as long as the sun's shining, you can be turning. After sunset, you got to shut them off. Even though every reputable environmental organization agreed, and they had stipulated, hey, we agree with the methodology you're going to be employing for this pilot program. It's a pilot project, not an industrial level generation. But I'm going to say, I'm going to predict this was politics at its worst that killed locally generated energy. The solar farms in southern Ohio, the renewable formula that was previously in place was exporting Ohio dollars in some scandalous ways out of state.
Right.
So you raise a very valid point that's touching very close, because we have the ability to do much right here locally, and that's been denied. So you raise an excellent point on that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir,
I hate to
once
beat a
again.
dead horse here, but I just want to add something to that. You can sit down. That's
Mr. Lima is getting his steps in today. So.
that we really, as a community, a Lake County community here, need to band together and support a revision to this bill. not just we cannot support and allow our legislators to strictly repeal it and then promise us something down the road, because it will never happen. So, whether you may be on different points of view on the subject, but hopefully everybody is on the same subject, that this would greatly diminish our economic activity in Lake County and cause great harm to all of us, including property owners, because of property valuation. So I hope that we can encourage everybody in the county. You don't have to be just living in Perry, because this will impact school systems like Willoughby Eastlake, as property tax valuations have already shown us in the past. So I really would hope that we can get a lot of support from all of the community to make sure that while some changes need to be made to the bill, as was originally passed, that those changes will not lose sight of the main objective, which is to continue clean energy production and to be able to protect our economy for the foreseeable future. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, you wish to address the board?
Yes, I'm Lois.
To the microphone, please, so our audience. I'm sorry. Thank you, ma'am. Give your name and address, please.
I'm Lois Osborne. I live at 334 South St. Clair in Paynesville.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I was actually going to be commenting on something else this morning, but because we brought up the Perinuclear power plant and House Bill 8 and all the dirty money involved in that, I do want to speak to that. Now, from my understanding, because I lived in Lake County, the First Energy Perinuclear power plant was for sale, and they were going to close down. And then Larry Householder and fellow Senate Republicans and his cronies cooked up this idea to make a little money and line their pockets and to fervently hoodwink the public, us, the citizens of the state of Ohio, into believing this was the right move, while Larry Householder and his cronies are making $60 million from supporting this. I mean, First Energy did not approach them. They approached First Energy. And I remember getting all of those postcards. I was actually had a petition that I was having people sign to oppose this. Well, guess what? Dark money came into play, and my mailbox was crammed with this Chinese conspiracy BS so I couldn't get anyone to sign the petition. So I've always felt that this, so much money and dark money was thrown on this that we didn't have a chance. I mean, they made it because of all the dark money they received, and I still think we're investigating some of that because I actually believe there's probably some other greasy palms out there that haven't been investigated yet. And so I believe very strongly that House Bill 6, because it is so tainted in dark money, needs to be repealed. And before you want to replace it, let's wait until January. Let's wait until we have a new House Senate in the state of Ohio, because maybe some other heads will prevail. Maybe some of those elected officials won't be elected. I mean, House Bill 6 passed by a vote of 53 to 43. And I do know everyone who voted for it, and I do know, as a Democrat, I'm aware that there were some Democrats who voted for it because they thought, like Jerry Serino, it was good for the economy. But I don't like these fear tactics, Commissioner Serino, that you are saying, our economy will not disintegrate because the Perinuclear plant is not going to be used. That is a fear tactic. All right. We could repurpose the land at the Perinuclear plant. Have you ever noticed the nurseries around there? Oh my gosh, their plants are like boom. They have all of that. Have you ever noticed that when you're down Antioch Road or when you're visiting the Perinuclear plant? There's a lot of nurseries in that area.
Noticed that.
Yeah, that could use that. And have you noticed how those plants kind of tend to grow a little more than the others? Maybe it has something to do with what's coming out of their towers. But I do want to mention that we do not have to rely exclusively, Mr. Hamercheck, You seem to be looking at me in a funny way.
No, ma'am, I'm actually experiencing a great deal of back pain right now, and I just had a sharp pain because of kidney stones, so please
Oh,
forgive
I'm
me for
sorry. I thought,
Well, I apologize for wincing, but I'm in excruciating pain right now, so please continue.
I'll try to make my comments brief.
Go right
then.
ahead and you take all
Okay.
the time you need. Just allow
Okay.
me to keep sipping my water and my coffee.
Now that we
Thank
have
you,
that
ma'am.
on the record.
Now that we have that
Oh,
on the
my
record,
goodness.
so please not take offense by my personal pain right now. Thank
Sorry.
you, ma'am.
Well, I've been in a lot of pain too, and I just want to mention that according to scientists, according to the American Association of, which I'm a member of, it's the AAIS,
What does that stand for?
the American Association of something I Science.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
All right, and I will find out what that I means, and I will email that to you. Nuclear energy is expensive and dangerous. There is no place for it in a safe, clean, sustainable future. Renewable energy is better for the environment. So instead of spending all of your time trying to keep the Perinuclear plant open, why don't you spend resources and work with the business leaders in this county to use more renewable energy? As you know, nuclear energy, remember when we used to get those little pills from the Perinuclear plant because we were in the blanket area that if there was some kind of nuclear accident,
That'd be the potassium iodine?
yes, the potassium iodine. And I know that Paynesville City Schools, because my husband was on the school board then, fought very hard to be part of that tax district. So all of the tax money was not just going to Perry, but it was also going to Paynesville, Paynesville Township, Leroy Township. I'm not sure that Willoughby Eastlake was a part of that.
If I could just interrupt you, I grew up in Perry. The history of that was the state came in and swooped away over half of the money for Perry. Unlike when we had the steel mills and the auto manufacturing, Perry was the only school district in the state of Ohio that was pillaged like that. It was a defensive move by some of the school districts in Lake County to preserve those dollars. It wasn't that they were protecting it from going to exclusively to Perry. It was a defensive move just to keep it in context of history.
Well, I think also we wanted a piece of the pie. You know, we're the ones who are going to perhaps have to take our pills because of some kind of nuclear accident. And because, as you pointed out, Commissioner Serino, many of the people who worked at Perry Nuclear Plant did not live in Perry, but they lived in those surrounding areas. All right, so the schools were able to have a successful lawsuit against Perry schools, and then that whole tax district was created to share those dollars. But nuclear energy is made up of radioactive waste, and that radioactive waste can last for thousands of years. Why do we want to pursue energy that is unclean, unsafe, and not sustainable? All right, and I would think we could work on some kind of replacement bill, but I think we need to consider clean air. Now, I know, Commissioner Hamercheck, you were trying to make some comment about the windmills and saying how that was a little tainted because they couldn't operate at night. I didn't really understand what your comments were. So why were you saying that, we shouldn't have wind turbine energy?
Good God, ma'am, absolutely not. You have that 100% wrong. I'm actually a strong advocate of wind turbine technology.
Okay, so what did you say in your comment about the bitter pill?
No, poison pill.
The poison pill.
The Ohio Power Siting Board, at the last minute, when they went to approve the construction of this wind farm, added a condition that said they can only operate during daylight hours. That's not cost effective. There's no way you can operate with any hope of effectiveness. And every environmental organization that has worked with LEEDCO agreed that this was an unnecessary stipulation that got slipped in at the last minute by somebody for some reason, and we can't get an answer. In fact, LEEDCO is suing the Ohio Power Siting Board to change this position.
That might be interesting for me to research.
I
You
would-
also
I
made
wish-
another comment about solar power.
If I may finish, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you
So
were.
you just accused me of not being pro-wind? I absolutely am.
Well, I stand corrected.
So thank you. I just want to make that
In
very
fact,
clear.
in fact, if I might interject, Mr. President, all the commissioners are for alternative energy. I mean, if you had researched, you would know that.
Well,
The-
could you please give
Commissioner
me some
Hamercheck,
explanations
excuse me one
of
second.
when you have
Excuse me
introduced some of
just a moment.
this?
Commissioner Hamercheck is actually on the board of LEEDCO,
Mm-hmm.
representing Lake County.
Good.
And there are other forces involved with whether or not it becomes a reality or not. But, Mr. President, I'm not, I don't have back pain, but I am wincing anyway. Simply because I don't believe that this meeting is the appropriate place to adjudicate the safety of nuclear power or the efficacy of nuclear power. That is not the point. And you're not very informed as to some of the details. So I would suggest some more research on your part.
Okay, I have just one other question.
I have the floor. I agree with you about waiting till next year, until there's a new legislature. Why rush a repeal right now? Do a repeal and a replace next year with a new legislature, and where there's time. This is a very complicated subject, very complicated. This isn't, where you could sit down in a committee and get a bunch of people together in an afternoon, come up with a replacement bill. This needs to be studied properly. It needs to be thoroughly vetted. There need to be hearings, of course, in both the House and the Senate. There is absolutely no reason to rush for just a repeal right now. The credits, the energy credits, don't even start till next year. So there's no reason to rush a repeal only right now.
Good, because I thought earlier in your comments you really wanted to push the
I know I'm against a repeal. Let me make myself very clear. I'm against a repeal only right now. I don't think there's adequate time between now and the end of the year, given how many House sessions the House is being reorganized right now. I don't see how they could do a repeal and a replace in time anyway. So I would look forward to having this whole thing looked at in the right amount of time, because it's a complicated subject involving very complicated policy decisions that needs to be carefully looked at, and it ought to be looked at by people who are in office starting in January, who have to live with the results of what they're proposing. Okay?
Well, I believe very much that it should be repealed, and then you can take all of that time to research it and then come up in January with another plan with a new legislature.
It'll never happen. If you repeal alone, all by itself, it will, a follow-up bill will never happen. I don't believe that for a moment.
Okay.
Fair enough. You had mentioned.
Mr.
Ron, go ahead.
President, Mr. President, if I could just throw in my 2 cents here.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Having served 16 years in the legislature, I agree with Commissioner Perino that if we simply repeal now, the issue will die. The Perry plant will die. Those taxes that we collect on behalf of our schools, etc., will die. The jobs will die. The air quality in Lake County will go down. I don't want that to happen. I would agree. Let's wait till next year. Let's repeal and replace all in one fell swoop. And it's an extremely complicated issue. We require hearings from many different parties. We need to hear from every party, Democrat, Republican. Every party needs to be heard from, not just political parties, but every aspect of the whole issue needs to be dealt with. Unlike before, where the issue turned into dark money, that needs to be clearly dealt with and eliminated. Any possibility of such absurd behavior needs to be eliminated, and that takes real experts.
Yes, and I do
So at
hope
any rate-
that they would
At any rate, it
use
needs to
those
be
experts.
done right, and it's going to take time.
So, and with that,
So,
you had mentioned that you had
If we simply repeal, there will be no replacement. It's too easy for the majority of the legislature just to wash their hands of it and walk away. Why? Because they don't care about Perry. They don't care about Lake County like they care about their own districts.
Well, I
We're the
think they
ones that
care
have to
about
care
getting
about
rid of something that is so
We're the ones
tainted.
that have to
That's
fight
all they
for
want to
like
do.
But anyway, you'd indicated that you had an original thought. I apologize. You probably want to get to that.
Oh, I just wanted to, you made another comment about solar energy.
Yes, ma'am.
And could you please clarify your statement?
There is an effort that I'm personally familiar with on the part of the County Commissioners Association, commercial scale solar farm, Southern Ohio, power aggregation. They're finding a great deal of resistance. And that falls into that same, I'm finding myself scratching my head saying, wow, when you have a community that wants it, why are so many other communities fighting it? So I believe it or not, it sounds like we're more on the same side than not.
Okay,
So-
but you also made a comment about money going out of the state. That's what I wanted to follow up on. What
The
did you
energy,
mean by
That was
that?
the alternative energy that we've been paying since Strickland was governor. $4 a month in our electric bills. We have been paying, unbeknownst to most people, that has been going for energy creation and activities outside of the state of Ohio. We've been getting no benefit from that. And under House Bill 6, one of the good things that it did was it reduced that significantly and used those dollars. So actually, if House Bill 6 were to not be repealed and go into effect, our electric bills, your electric bill will go down every month. And if House Bill 6 is repealed and not replaced, your electric bills will stay the same. They will not go down. You will be missing out on a savings. That's why we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater on this thing. It needs time to be evaluated and considered properly. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you actually, thank you. That was very well
Well, I
said.
just want to stress that I disagree with you because I know how slowly things work in a bureaucracy, in a legislature. You know, you have so many House senators. So in a sense, you're, by saying, this is our stand, we're not going to repeal this until we have a replacement, how much time are you stalling for here?
Well, by your
thank
logic,
you.
ma'am, by your logic, then, you would have to agree with my position that a repeal, along with the promise to replace down the road, would never happen. So you agree with me?
No, I don't
Because
agree with you.
you just
I
got done-
agree
you
that
just got
there's a
done-
chance to replace
Just
that.
got done saying how slow things move in legislatures, okay? That lends credence to my view that if they repeal it now and promise to consider a replacement down the road, it'll never happen. And
Well,
you'll
by
never convince me
saying-
otherwise.
By saying, I am not going to, and perhaps you are going to be elected to that Ohio House Senate. You know, that is to be determined. But by saying, I stand firmly that we cannot repeal this without a replacement, I see that as a stall tactic.
Well, we all
Because
have the
you need to get
opportunity
rid
for
of that
opinions, but-
dirty money, you need to get rid of all of the bad association with that, you need to
Okay.
clean out the house.
You're really not making sense with this. There are no benefits until next year under House Bill 6. So what am I stalling? I'm not stalling anything.
Oh,
What I'm
getting
saying
people to
is,
change their
you're a former teacher, right? Okay.
Professor.
Okay. You understand that before you launch into something, you have to do proper research and you have to study the issues. You throw in dirty money like it's just hanging around right now for people to go grab. There are no benefits to the nuclear plants until next year, when House Bill 6 would take effect, along with the rate reduction for all of residents and business owners. So I'm not, the firm position against a repeal only has nothing to do with any stalling tactics. It's a considered approach to allow time to study the issue, which is very complicated. And anybody who is a proponent of repealing right now without a replacement is showing lack of consideration for the people of Lake County. And I don't think it would represent good leadership in an elected official.
Well, I don't understand that because you said it wouldn't even go into effect until January, so, it's not affecting the citizens of Lake County.
What does repealing accomplish?
It accomplishes quite a few things.
But it doesn't stop anything because
Yeah, but
nothing
I think
started.
it's the political fact Larry Householder refused to resign. They voted to
Right.
kick him out. It just cleans up some hands of some dirty Republicans by repealing that and saying good riddance, and then we have a clean slate to start in working on whatever we're going to do to replace that. Don't you think there's some people in the House Senate who just want this to go away?
Of course they do, but they're all up, most of those people are up for election, so they care more about what they want to be perceived as being for a repeal only, okay? I don't think they really care much. Most of them voted against House Bill 6 in the first place, okay? So, we agree to disagree. I am for a repeal and a total reexamination of House Bill 6 that at the end of the day leaves the plants intact so that we don't have the economic and energy policy issues. And if you don't believe what I say about the economic impact on the counties, I don't know what your experience is in economics, but we've consulted many experts. It would really hurt Lake County, even before we take COVID into account. Okay, and COVID's not going to go away tomorrow. We have many businesses that are simply going to be out of business for good because of the shutdown and so on. And we don't even know the full count yet because many of them still are struggling to hang in there. So the impact economically, I will argue till my dying day that it would be significant for the county. I am not using scare tactics. I'm not like some of the other folks that try to use scare tactics for things politically. There is no scare tactic involved here. This is reality as determined by many financial and economic experts here. How do you replace tens of millions of dollars a year in taxes? You can't.
Well, when Perinuclear plant was for sale and going bankrupt, how much energy...
We're starting to become a bit repetitive at this point.
Well, I'm just saying, how much money did it generate? But what I would like to see, because you're very attuned to the economic climate of Lake County, I mean, that is your job as a Lake County Commissioner, if you could post something on your Lake County Commissioners page on the economic impact it would have to close the Perinuclear plant and give those figures.
We have, those numbers have been out there, Lois.
Well, I guess I need to go check your site.
You can check my site and go back 2.5 years. You can go back to, you can just Google a whole bunch of things and all the numbers are there. Okay, I'm not making these numbers up. These numbers are out there.
Okay, I believe you.
There might be some estimates that might differ a little bit, but it's serious and we can't let it happen, and we agree to disagree.
Okay, I really came in here for another purpose, and I know I've taken a lot of your time.
Ma'am, go right ahead.
But I just wanted to make a comment about that. And I believe in the Constitution of the United
Are
States.
you pointing to our acoustic tiles?
Oh, I'm pointing to the state motto
Okay.
that has had many lawsuits, and it has caused great controversy in the state of Ohio. Articles written, holy cow, New York Times, Ohio has a state motto problem. Now, I know, Commissioner Serino, you were very much in favor of this, and I know you call yourself a strong Christian, and I am aware that you are, so am I. But I also believe very much in the Constitution of the United States and the separation of church and state. This state motto is the only one that quotes directly from the Bible. And of course, you know this. I'm surprised we don't have Matthew 19:43 after it. But why were not the people who elected you given some input on whether this was a good idea or not?
We did. When we put this up, we had discussion here. I believe Mr. Lima, I'm sorry, is it Lima? Lima? Is he
I
here?
believe it's Lima.
It's Lima.
I think he stepped
left?
out, yes.
Oh.
We had quite a spirited
Yeah,
discussion
we had a
about
very
the comma.
spirited discussion, and
And
we
when
were...
was that, at this 8-6 meeting?
I don't... No, this was last year.
No,
Okay.
When we built the
It was in
building.
the beginning.
Okay, in the beginning. Okay.
I believe that is, what is the citation there? The very beginning.
I'm going to
Okay.
avoid Genesis, but
Okay,
yes. So.
okay. So what is your point?
The chapter, not the band.
I have a feeling, and I know in a way, you have served as commissioner for 4 years. This is the end of your term. And I just feel that, knowing you and knowing your stance on many, many things, you want to leave your mark on Lake County as you move on to greener pastures and so forth.
If I may caution you about getting personal, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. So
fair
I
warning.
just, I'm not quite sure how publicized this was, as you started your consternation of this a year ago.
Well, you're going to have to come to meetings or watch our streams in order to be informed.
I know.
I think it's our task, Lois.
I've taken a back seat, but
We're
I'm back.
not going to review things in the past that you were not here.
Okay,
to
and I
listen
can
to.
go back and review the
Please do.
minutes and all of that.
We had a spirited discussion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments coming in? Jason, no? Very good. Okay, this brings us to the end of our meeting. If there's nothing else to come before this board, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will move to adjourn.
Second.
Do we have discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes. Thank you. This meeting stands adjourned.